Alright, hello again. Okay, in the Files section of your computer you will find something called CLI commands. You should take a look at it. This will actually give you a walkthrough of a lot of stuff I'm talking about. More in-depth version of this. How to configure your initial switch configuration. Pretty much the same thing for a router too. Just a couple more things. So, initially, give it a name. Line console 0, so you can put a password in and turn that on. Again, VTY is for the auxiliary port. Again, put a password and turn it on. Enable a secret password for your privileged exec mode. Encrypt all your other passwords, which is these two here. Banners saying, hey, you're not supposed to be in here unless you're supposed to be in here. Yeah, nice. Interface VLAN 1, give an IP address and turn it on, then copy and save it to your startup. Here what it looks like in the command line mode. You'll use your own IP address, whatever you want it to be. Won't necessarily be these. That's how you do it, and you'll do it with every single switch, and the routers too. But the routers have a little more to it. So basic router configuration step. Looks the same, doesn't it? And yes, there's shortcuts. I wouldn't suggest you use them for a while. At this point, it's pretty much the same. Except you might notice you didn't put an IP address in there yet. Oh, that's a little different. Why is that? Because each port on your router has an IP address. On your switch, the whole thing has an IP address, no matter what port you're plugged into. On the router, each port is a different IP address because you have to come in from a different network. They're network connections, and so you need to know those. This is a packet tracer to walk you through the initial part. Detailed instructions, what you'll be doing it on. Give it a try. I'm not requiring it for a grade, but I think it's a very good idea that you do this so you get practice. So, the difference was that you put VLAN 1 to have the IP address. In this case, you do each physical port. And there are virtual VLANs on there as well. So, the virtual VLANs, you have VLANs on there as well that you'll do, but that's later. So you go into each interface, give it a description, give it an IP address, and then go to shutdown. Because on a router, the ports are automatically, by default, turned off. On a switch, that's not the case. They're automatically turned on a switch. The VLANs are turned off on a switch. And they're also turned off on a router as well, but the physical ports are turned off on a router as well. Again, walk through parts, show all. Verify you have it, so I'll show IP interface brief. Make sure you have the right IP addresses in there. Yes. Ping things. Ping devices on the other networks. So the ping commands for is to see if there's a connection out there. Default gateway for a host. Your router is now the default gateway. So when you put an IP address into your computer over here, you put in the IP address, the subnet mask, and then a default gateway, which is that IP address for this port, the port it talks to. This way it knows if it needs to talk to something outside this network here, it knows to go here, and then it will go out of its network over here. That's the doorway out of the apartment building. Now you can put a default gateway on for a switch as well, which is useful sometimes. Not required, but you can do so. Here is the command: IP space default dash gateway, and then the IP address of the port of the router. So this will actually have you connect a router to a LAN. Again, not required for grade. Suggest you give it a try. Troubleshooting. This is going to be hard. If you've been having trouble with the other stuff, you're really going to have trouble with this one. It's a good way to see how you're doing, and it does walk you through it fairly well. So it's worth giving a shot if you have a spare time. Again, not required, but I really suggest you do these things. This right here is this right here. If you get a little practice, you'll understand. You'll look like this in your head. Okay, take it back. You'll get a lot of practice before it starts looking like this in your head. A lot. I have to write this stuff down still. No, not my thing. Yeah, good luck with that. You can do some packet trace if you want to. Again, I don't have anything physically for you to give you. But if you go to a packet tracer and you look at their the switches and routers, it'll actually give you front and back versions of it, so that's nice. Way hard challenge if you want to give that a try. So yes, we talked about router, we talked about the network layer, so we talked about IP addressing layer, layer 3, which is IP addressing. In the next chapter, we're actually going to go and do addressing, so you understand how that addressing works. But this is the part that tells you why it's important to have that layer 3 addressing, the IP version 4 and IP version 6 addressing. This is where a lot of your work as an IT professional will end up as. This is where a lot of your stuff, even as a user, will be interesting is. If you look onto your computer, you can find the default gateways and stuff from there, and you can mess with your routers if you know what you're doing. So this is chapter 7. We're not going to do that now. We're going to leave here for chapter 6.4.